Well, we're coming in hot today with wrestling talk. We had Summerslam on Saturday. I only saw bits and pieces on videos on Twitter and YouTube because I ain't gonna watch that shit. Kidding me? But we're here. I'm gonna talk some news and rumors later. But first, I really need to make a statement about Becky Lynch. It wasn't until this year that I realized how there were just WWE marks, I guess, or hardcore WWE fans that hate other promotions. I always knew there were like indie guys and fans of indie wrestling, fans of New Japan that hate WWE, but I didn't realize WWE had that same thing going on to the people, which I should have because wrestling fans are all the same. I bring this up to say that I saw a lot of WWE fans on social media really acting as though Becky Lynch is on par with CM Punk, and it's just not true. It's not true at all. Outside of selling merchandise with WWE fans, Becky Lynch is just not a mainstream star, okay? And I will show evidence of that on social media as we go along here. But she returned at SummerSlam only to squash Bianca Belair. And pretty much, WWE's anti-blackness has been a thing since the beginning of the WWE and has never changed. They squashed Kofi in a few seconds and they squashed Bianca Belair in a few seconds to Becky Lynch. It makes zero sense, but does WWE booking really ever make sense these days? No, it doesn't. And debuting Becky Lynch this way is only going to stifle her potential star power as it is, because Bianca Belair was the biggest woman face in the company right now and really just starting to reach a height. She's fucking with celebrities everywhere. She's big on Black Twitter, getting big on Black Twitter. And so squashing her is just going to squash those potential fan bases with they're going to lose Black audience here. It's going to happen, I'm telling you. But it doesn't make sense on any level if you're going to bring in Becky Lynch and think that she is so over, and maybe within the certain WWE audience she is, but her squashing the current biggest face in the company is not a very face thing to do. And I get that they tried to make her heel before, and that turn happened to make her face because she was getting over with the fans. But if WWE goes about this like they usually do and try to turn Bianca heel in this feud with Becky Lynch, it's just going to hurt both of them. But it's what WWE does, is they just stifle people from really getting over. And Becky Lynch is just not as over as WWE marks want her to be. And I have no horse in this race. I say this every time. I took a nice few years off from wrestling, didn't watch any AEW until this year. And so I'm looking at this very objectively because I could give a fuck either way. But right now, WWE's loss of momentum has just continued for 2 decades, and AEW is rising with that momentum, especially with getting CM Punk. Here are the Google Trends over the past week. We have, you can see in yellow is John Cena. He's the only one over the past week that has, consistent ups and downs of people thinking about John Cena, searching John Cena. But the big thing I want to point out first is that look how big CM Punk's reaction was when he debuted on AEW. And it was prolonged into Saturday. And then the other big note, Becky Lynch is in red, and her big debut, her big return, in SummerSlam, the tiniest of them all. And then the other distinction, I added Roman Reigns just because he was the one that WWE had talking about that CM Punk was not as big of a mainstream star as the Cenas and the Rocks, and he wasn't. But Roman still can't eclipse Cena as a star himself, as you see him in green right there. This is US trends. But you could see worldwide trends is basically just the same, except everybody goes up a little bit more. It's still CM Punk's return, looking huge for AEW. And I think it's mostly because Punk was just gone for so long, and the way he left the WWE, it was a feud, and he's returning to the rival. It's a good story. AEW has to keep it up, though, and I worry with that with AEW. I don't know if Tony Khan's booking is very consistently good whatsoever, but it needs to be to keep this momentum with CM Punk because it truly is a big deal for AEW. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up was the Twitter data for the night, showing the Twitter trends for Saturday night during SummerSlam, and I wonder if you all can guess who is who here. Because that first one, and I tracked this to make sure I wasn't losing my mind, that first one trend in the US, that is Becky Lynch for her grand return that WWE botched. She trended in the top 20 for less than 2 hours. She's supposed to be the man. She sells those t-shirts, but people truly aren't that interested in Becky Lynch as a big star because the booking for WWE does not work. They botch almost everything. That second one, that is Bianca. Bianca trended way more than almost anybody at SummerSlam, probably because of the way she was so poorly booked. But this is how I know WWE is going to fuck this up. Well, first off, because they already have with what happened, but also because clearly people are upset of the way they booked Bianca to lose after building her up all year. But Becky ain't going to lose that title anytime soon. They're probably going to do Survivor Series Becky versus Charlotte Flair one last time or whatever. That seems to be the consensus. So all this does is stifle Bianca. And this is just what they have done with almost every wrestler in the WWE for a decade and a half now. They build someone up, fuck it up, and then it's hard for that wrestler to ever build back up. And they think they have it with Becky, but look how much nobody gives a fuck about Becky. Her trend lasted, she trended highly, and then was eclipsed by so many other people on that show when it came to engagement and curiosity and just people talking. That last one is Goldberg. I just added Goldberg because Goldberg was the other person that trended long. Cena was another one, and Rollins was another one as well. But I mean, I call Goldberg Oldberg too, but you can't say people don't talk about him a lot. But yeah, that's the data that has. It's just the facts. Look, the Big Brother fans had to learn the hard way that all I do is speak facts. I don't come on here and talk shit just to talk shit. I talk shit about the truths that I see. And this data proves that Becky Lynch is nowhere near the star power WWE marks want to say she is. I don't foresee Becky Lynch moving the needle like they think she will for SmackDown, and I will not be surprised once the baseball playoffs start and once football is going on, college football on Friday nights, MLB playoffs in October. Don't be surprised if SmackDown's ratings once again drop below 2 million. We had other stuff happen at SummerSlam. We had Brock Lesnar also return. Now, Lesnar, obviously a mainstream star, and it's interesting that they're already going with the Lesnar and Roman Reigns feud, it seems to be. Can that help SmackDown? I think so. I want to say so. I still see SmackDown's ratings dropping in October, though, regardless of what SmackDown tries to put on. I mean, it's not like I didn't see it because I wasn't watching, but I do know there was Roman Reigns and plenty of Roman Reigns and Lesnar stuff in the past, and it's kind of just. I mean, I guess maybe Lesnar's the face now and Roman's the heel. That's the only difference. All in all, I don't think SummerSlam. I mean, like I said, I only watched bits and pieces and then watched some videos on Twitter, on YouTube. It seemed as subpar as I thought it would be, and shitty decisions like squashing Bianca and for Becky's return is just bad decision. It's booking on the fly. You could have just gave them a match at least, and then have have Bobby Lashley squash Goldberg. I think it was like a long squash, that match. So I mean, WWE is trying to return some star power to their shows. We'll see if it pays off. Now, I think why Sasha was not at SummerSlam is because she is unvaccinated. And I don't want to talk about this too much because I don't know what YouTube will do to the video. Plus, to say WWE has a strict policy and Sasha broke it, and that's probably why she wasn't on the show, and that's probably maybe why they had to change plans and fuck up both Bianca and Becky's return. Becky's return was a major fail by the WWE. There's also these rumors going around that Bray Wyatt could show up in AEW in the future. Obviously, I talked a little bit on the short video I did on CM Punk the other day. Daniel Bryan also expected to be in AEW soon. So AEW also bringing in the star power. I just feel like AEW is the one with momentum, while WWE recycles the same old shit and just continues to recycle bad decisions and bad booking. Lastly, rumors of Charlotte Flair wanting to leave WWE for AEW as well. Telling you right now, those rumors are true. You can expect to see Charlotte Flair join the rest of her family, her father and Andrade, in the AEW locker room soon enough whenever her contract is up. That's all I think I have to talk about today. Gonna continue to try and do wrestling videos, but Big Brother takes up a lot of my time right now. But if I can try and bring more accurate news and free wrestling fans from the shackles of that idiot Dave Meltzer, I will try my best to do so.